Road podcast, telling the stories of the South Texas racers from the past and present.
Hello, my name is James Parks, and welcome to the Thunder Road podcast. We are filming here at the Top Hat Signs and Design Studio. I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Proline Fabrication, 112 Bodies, S&S Monuments, and of course, Top Hat Signs and Designs. If you or someone you know would like to be a partner or an advertiser in the Thunder Road podcast, please see the listings below. In this episode, we have Chayse Mrazek. Chayse Mrazek is a local BMX racer as well as go-kart racer with some expectations to move up the ladder. And we are here with Chayse Mrazek. Chayse Mrazek is a local BMX racer as well as go-kart racer, and he is also involved in high school sports. So with that being said, I introduce Chayse Mrazek.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Chayse Mrazek. I am 16 from Bishop, Texas.
Born and raised?
Yes, sir.
Born and raised in Bishop, Texas. What's the population out there? Any idea?
Less than 1,000.
Well, all right. It's going to grow. I promise you it will grow. It can't not grow. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, we know the Chayse Mrazek from the go-karts, from the Big Stars event. But before we start talking about the go-kart stuff, tell us a little bit about you, about your BMX experience and how you got into that.
Well, I started racing when I was about 6, 7, started in October of 2013, and been racing ever since. I have 6 state championships, 5 regional championships, and 1 national championship.
So when you started racing bicycles, we had Ray Allen Kohanek on one of our previous podcasts, and he raced tricycles.
Tricycles.
Yes, so we called him a tricycle motor. But I assume you didn't start racing tricycles. What did you start racing?
I started racing a 20-inch bike that my parents got me and took me out to the track, and
it went from there?
Went from there.
So how did the BMX come about? Just one day you got a BMX bike, or BMX racing was in your family, your friends? How did you determine that BMX racing is where you wanted to be?
Well, my dad just said, there's this new thing out in Corpus. Let's go try it out. They got myself a bike, and ever since then we just started racing, and
the rest was history.
The rest was history.
So you raced locally a little bit, and then mostly you traveled, I assume. You're traveling series. I don't know if it's leagues. Tell us a little bit about the different styles of racing, some of the different stuff that you've done.
Well, when I first started, we were racing local races, which they are called. They're district events.
And that's here in Corpus?
Yes.
Okay.
And then when we found out that I'm all pretty good at it, we started taking it up to San Antonio, then to Houston, then to Dallas, and then...
So what was the deciding factor for y'all to say, hey, this kid is, we're ready to travel?
Just my parents did it mostly for experience. I did pretty okay in Corpus. It took me about a year to actually win. And then we just decided to go get some harder competition and get better.
You're only as good as who you race. So, yeah, if you hang around locally and you race the same guys over and over and over, you kind of become complacent and you learn their bad habits and you just kind of race around them. But when you do travel, you're racing against those guys and you don't know their bad habits, so it forces you to, I guess, ride a little harder. Tell us a little bit about your racing afar. Tell us some of your accomplishments. Tell us about some of the bigger shows you entered. Maybe you didn't do so well, maybe you did, but there's a ton of those races out there, and let the audience know what those are about.
Well, my first ever national event was, I'm pretty sure in 2014, we went up to Georgia, the Dixieland Nationals, and yeah, I got smoked. It
was a learning process.
Learning process for sure. But
when you walked away from that, though, did you feel like you had learned something to make yourself better?
Well, after that, in the short term, I thought this isn't for me. But now that I've progressed and moved on through all these years I've been racing, it's been what I've taken throughout all these races just to make me better.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the bikes that you're racing, though. I'm assuming we're not going to Walmart and buying bikes. We're not ordering them off of Amazon. These are like racing machines. So tell us a little bit about the bikes themselves.
Well, they're pretty high class bikes, ranging from $300 to $1,000, depending if you go aluminum or carbon. I race 2 bikes. They are 20-inch diameter wheels and 26, which the 26 is called a cruiser, and the 20-inch is called a class bike, which is about the premier class. The cruiser's like just another class to race for more experience. And some people, like myself, enjoy riding that a little bit more just because of the forgiveness of the 26-inch wheel, which just makes it more fun to ride.
Is more forgiving on wrecks or on handling or on everything?
Just handling. They just feel better to ride, to jump, to manual. just everything is just more smooth.
And how are those classes? How are they put together? Is it age group? Is it experience? Tell us a little bit about that stuff.
It's a little bit of both. When you first start out racing, when you register, you're a novice, and it can go up to any age. There's 56 and over novice to 5 and under novice. And then once you get 10 wins, you transfer up to intermediate. And then I think it's 20 wins now that you turn to expert, which is the premier class for everything.
And that's where you're at now?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go up here. 2015, you made a main event. Is that right?
Yes, I made a main event at our national finals in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's around Thanksgiving, the holiday of Thanksgiving. And
so no turkey for you?
No, well, depends where you go. And but it's just something we've gone to every year since 2014 and haven't missed one since.
I think John Heineman and his family used to go to that quite often.
I'm pretty sure I went to a few of them with them. My parents going to get off of work and they hauled me up there.
Did you ever call John's stepdad or anything?
No, but he's a very close friend. He's helps me out with a lot. And
he's a good guy. Him and his wife are good folks. At one time, I sponsored Carly. I think it was. She had a bicycle without pedals. Is that right? Was it Carly that did that?
I have no clue.
Yeah, it was a bicycle without pedals, and she would run the little BMX course.
Oh, is it a Strider or like
a Strider? Yeah. It was a Strider bike. Yeah. So I don't know how long she was in that, but I do remember helping with that deal. 2016 looks like you doubled up on winning in a regional championship. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, in 2016 we were in DeSoto in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and regionals, it's the South Central, so around that region, and just it's your best two scores out of some events, and I just happened to be first and took home the title.
And in 2017 you did a double?
Yes, I did that one at state, which is it's your top 5 scores throughout the state, from down here in Corpus to Midland, Odessa, to El Paso, to Houston, everywhere that there's a track. They host one, at least one a year. And I did pretty well that season. That's when my career started going on the up and up and started making some progress.
That's when you started getting your name out there. I did a little searching on you on the internet. It looked like at one point you picked up, I'm going to call a factory ride. I don't quite know what the name, how you guys call that, but looks like you had someone backing you.
Yes, I did.
What year was that?
That was in 2018 when a good buddy, Tim Knight, started Primal BMX, and he was like a second dad to me, gave me all the tips and like tricks I needed to go out and start progressing and winning nationals.
And it seemed like it helped because 2019 was a big year for you.
Yes, very big year. That's when he actually stepped away from sponsoring, but that was just from a personal deal with him. But he still was by my side, helping me, coaching me up, getting me through there, and
all the stuff that he had kind of led you to understand a little bit better as far as the riding, the techniques. And I'm going to ask, like, do you read those tracks just like us dirt racers do, reading the tracks, or are they all pretty much the same, or how does that work in your eyes?
Well, in my eyes, it's about every track's different.
Do you pack the track with the bikes?
Well, depends how good the track is. Some tracks you don't need that, but most tracks are covered with a slurry.
Okay.
A slurry mixture, and they're about rock hard. Some are asphalt, turns wise, but most tracks here in the U.S. are all soil tacked and asphalted.
Just ready to race. So you guys show up, starting line, and go. I assume you run some practice sessions,
yes.
And then you go. So 2009 was a big year for you. You did pretty well in that deal. Tell us a little bit about that and the different classes that you did succeed in. I know you talked briefly about you had basically a mentor, but tell us a little bit more about 2019, and then we'll just kind of roll from there.
All right. Well, so that year just was really good. And Cruiser, I had about 12 national wins, which there's a weekend of a national is 3 to 2 back then. And in class, I had I had a good few. I had, I think, about 5 or 6 in class, which is a way harder class in theory. But
how many competitors normally are out there with you when you're doing this?
From a local race, it's about 3. Just
in a national event?
At Grands, I have about a few years ago, I think in 2020, we had 113.
But how many actually started what we would call the feature?
Well, how it is, it's we start in a thing called a moto, which is, it can be, I'm pretty sure about that size. It's 5 people a moto. There's about 13, what we call it, racks. And then from that, the top 2 there's 2 in dirt racing term, you can say it heat races.
Okay.
And then top 2 make it out, so one person doesn't make it. And then that goes to and they take 4 from that, and then quarters 4, and then semis 4, and then
Just kind
there's
of
2 semis, and then they combine for the main, which is a full 8 rider field.
And then that's what you're up against. Do you find you're always kind of up against the same guys when it comes down to the finals?
Recently, I've been racing about the same people, but finals, there's some really good competition. A few that I've raced against, like Sean Day, Cole Frederick. Those were the 2.
Those are the guys.
Those were the guys
If
for
you
a few
can compete
years.
with those guys, those are the.
Sean is, yes. Like I said about Sean, Sean's our world 1 right now.
Oh, yeah.
He is, but yeah, I've raced him for a long time. Most of the people I've been racing with since I was 7.
Awesome. So you kind of grown up with those guys as well. So I'm assuming you're competitors on the track, but friends in the pit area or the paddock, whatever y'all call it.
Most people. Some people not as much, but I keep it cool with everybody else.
You give them some elbows in the corners.
That's just part of racing.
Huh?
But yeah, I'm friends with a good amount, but
fair enough.
I just want to win.
2021, you came away with a second in the Grands. Is that correct?
Yes, our Grands is our national finals, which basically the biggest race of the year, calling for like the Grand Nationals. That's the last national race of the year in Tulsa. And in Cruiser, I came away with a second, and two in the Cruiser World 1, which I was about a few tenths off of winning that race. So.
Awesome. And in 2022, you basically did the same exact thing. Is that right?
Yes, and that was probably one of the most, I don't really know how to say it, but it was the most meaningful, really, because that one I really wasn't doing that good that year, just struggling.
Just got in a rut?
And ended it with that, and I was very satisfied with that.
Yeah. What do you feel was the reason you just kind of got in that rut? Just kind of getting burned out, getting tired?
Just more not burnt out, but just looking for something new. I mean, I've been doing it, traveling for 9 years now, and just sometimes I need a little break, which back in those 17, 18, 19, I was hardly home in the summer. Yeah. Probably a few weeks out of the year, we were just traveling, and taking a step back probably didn't let me progress with everybody, because back in 2019, I was pretty far ahead for not really having a track really to be able to train. But now,
so did you just train up and down Highway 70 out there, or what were you doing?
Just riding my bike, making sure I stay loose, and hoping I can keep up with everybody. And
so when you say you were getting a little bit burned out on that deal, is that kind of when the go-kart stuff started coming along?
It happened about in the middle.
About the middle of that.
I found out this is pretty cool, so I was like, oh, I have 2 things to do
cars.
now. Yep. Caught the bug.
So tell us a little bit more about the BMX stuff. You mentioned NAG 1 and NAG 2. Kind of explain to the listeners what that necessarily means.
Well, NAG is an abbreviation for National Age Group, which it's your total throughout 8 races throughout the whole season, and whoever ends up with the most points after the main event in Tulsa comes away with it. And in 2019, I came up, finished 3rd, and had enough points to take home the NAG 1, which was really, really, really nice.
So then at this point, you're getting a little bit burned out on the bicycle stuff, and the BMX stuff, and you're kind of sniffing around the go-kart scene. And then next thing you know, we decided we're just going to pull the rope and let's go. Or how did that transition work? Because you're not really giving up the BMX stuff. You're just kind of doing something a little bit different. So tell us about that transition and who is maybe responsible for some of that transition.
Well, so in late 2017, my dad was like, they opened a go-kart track out at Lawrence's.
Just down the road.
10 minutes. And we got there. We bought a helmet, which I was oblivious to thinking what I was going to do. And John Heineman had his cart, which was for Carly to race. And he was like, go do some practice laps. And I did, and I absolutely loved it.
You were hooked.
It's what I've always wanted to do, is race cars and race go-karts. And we raced the senior class, and just turned out to be the rest is history now.
It just kind of went from there.
Yep.
So in 2017, you started racing karts. Looks like going by your notes here. The kart that you ended up buying, where did it come from? How did you guys acquire that?
It came from
one?
the hill country in Texas.
Okay.
These in a pretty remote area, which
It's out in the middle of a field.
out in the middle there, and just these people. My dad found a thing on Marketplace. He said, this is a good deal. He said, wake up early tomorrow. We're leaving. We're going to go pick something up, a cart. We get there, and it's these people who their grandkid raced at, I don't know the track. They had books and photos of all they've done. It was originally like an animal kind of cart, and we were just like, yeah, we're going to put a 212 on there. And they're like, they were kind of skeptical about selling it. They were very attached to it. When we left, they were crying, and I was like, dang. And I was like, that kind of stuck with me to like almost make them proud with the car. Like we still are in contact with them every once in a while.
Awesome. And you kept their number.
Kept their number 62.
Just to keep them a part of it.
Same wrap, same everything.
That's pretty cool that you kept them a part of it. I've bought and sold a ton of cars and karts, and there are a few that were hard for me to get rid of as well. So I definitely understand the attachment to some of those things. So you in 2018 you ran the L87 senior class and you won with that cart
Yes.
of your own, and you did that deal, and then you won a championship.
Yes, I'm just those seasons back then. I'm pretty sure were 12 races, and the competition, the senior class back then, we had 12 to 14 car fields, which was crazy. And I remember going just battling with Alexis Powell, Brandon, and then some other kids that were just helped me a lot in the grand scheme of things, become a better kart racer and racer in general. And that's what I wanted to do, is just win a kart championship.
We race go-karts out of our shop, and what I find funny and very intriguing about the go-kart racing is my daughter will get out there and get passed or get beat or get outrun, or she may turn somebody, and as soon as the seatbelts come off, they all go over and talk to each other and play like nothing ever happened. Grown-ups cannot do that. I don't know what the difference is, but grown-ups cannot do that. So we ran some local races, L87. I'm assuming you ran some races at South Texas Speedway. Did you ever do any go-kart racing there?
Yeah, I did one race back before, when it was before the race ranch.
Yeah.
It was just, we raced L87, and then
That was literally your home track because it was like
Basically.
1.2 miles away.
and then so yeah, we loaded the cart up and we didn't race. I remember it was when they raced during the intermission of the big cars, and I remember just showing up there, never driven the track, no setup, just went out there and missed the heat race. So we started tail end, and I drove up through the field and led most of the feature. And then, very funny story, I thought I saw the flagman hold the yellow out, and I cruised around for about 4 laps with
Caution speed.
And Brandon ripped it past me. I was like, oh, and I took off. And so that first race there, I finished second, which was
A lesson learned.
a lesson learned.
You'll never do that again.
No.
You might run extra laps now.
No, oh, I do now.
So tell us a little bit about the Stars event. So for the local folks that do know the Stars event, it's a huge deal here. For you out of towners that don't understand, it's basically an indoor arena. It's at the I guess they call it the Richard Borchard
Fairgrounds, yeah.
Fairgrounds. It's a horse arena, and they manicure the dirt ish, the material we'll call it. They manicure the material. They build a go-kart track inside, and we run races there. And I guess we've run two years there now. But we started doing this little enduro deal, and when I say little, it's a couple hundred laps. Sometimes it's 100 laps. But tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Well, so every week in February, in 2022, we raced everything and just got through there. I actually won the overall championship for the spec cage class. And then the following year, I was busy with some school deals and couldn't race every week. But our first race of the 2023 Star Series happened to be the Enduro night with so we got a cart together, thanks to Charlie Powell. He lent us this cart that was pretty.
It was a beast.
It was a beast. But so we were actually running for our club. We were running the Open Predator, which was a Ghost. That's what the name is. It's a
Harbor Freight Ghost.
Harbor Freight Ghost engine, and so we were running that. And during the feature of the Open Predator, we blew it up, running too much RPM, and so I was like, "Dang, I really was only here for the enduro."
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. So we put this motor on it, which was just out of a Charlie's trailer, and first stop on it was the first lap of the enduro, and we started towards the front and just ripped through the pack.
So tell the folks how y'all actually started this race, because you weren't like side by side.
Oh, we were 3 wide.
We were 3 wide, 3 wide in a horse arena on some dirt-ish type stuff.
Yep.
But you had a good time. It was definitely an epic experience. I was on the sidelines watching because I had a few carts in there, but I remember seeing you just passing cars, and you were running a pretty good clip. Now, when we say enduro, these carts weren't moving slow.
Oh no, we
were at race speed. We were moving. Our guys were moving. These guys were moving. So tell them a little bit about some of the experiences you had on the track, maybe kind of slicing and dicing through the traffic.
So
trying to stay out of the hay bales.
The people actually, but so me and our good buddy Tony Ronaldo, we just cut through the field. We were running first and second, and he just lost it a little bit. And then I got around. It was still at the beginning, so I was just sitting there like, I'm leading this thing. And then when I got into the traffic, which was an experience in itself, and then I just remember just never let it drift out. Just stayed on the bottom because that's where I thought it was the best, because they moved our disc in. So I was like, well, I know there's a little bit of something down there. So I just kept on ripping that, and that race felt like forever, especially when you're out front. And I was aware throughout the race that.
So you're counting laps?
I waited until the halfway, and I was just like, and I felt it. And then Charlie, who owns that cart, was giving me, I think at 15, started counting down. I was just like, keep it going. And then I don't know who, I think it was with like 3 to go, I got hooked into the turn and almost lost it. I was full lock and just got out of it.
It wasn't
and
me.
I thought
it wasn't me.
Hope not. Then I thought I lost it, but I got pointed the white flag, and I just was like, well, there we go. And I was kind of starstruck when like I finished it and they stopped me there. And
no, it was a big deal.
For me it was, because I was just
deal.
like, dang, I did something.
Yeah, no. People talked about this enduro coming up. They talked about it happening when it was going on. Just the sheer sound of all those carts. How many go-karts do you think started that enduro?
I'm pretty sure it was 80, I think.
So let's just roughly say 75 to 80 go-karts inside that horse barn. It echoed. It was loud.
And it's loud with 5 carts.
I'm sure they could hear it over the freeway. But what I did find was odd was when the regular carts raced, you had the noise, and then the noise stopped because of heat races or whatever. But when you had that many carts out there for that amount of time, the noise never stopped.
Oh, no.
It was a constant hum, and it was almost monotonous the way it was.
Yeah, that's because how loud it was, I could visibly feel how loud it was. And I was like, I couldn't even, that's probably why I did so good. I couldn't let myself think.
Yeah.
I was just so focused until I got to the white flag, and then I started realizing I almost spun out and just.
So you pulled up there. They took your picture. You got your trophy. Trophy girls, or a trophy girl involved?
I think it was just Owen.
Well, but hey, it's a trade-off.
Yeah, I know. And then I did some donuts in the infield, and that was my night. And I didn't even race the next week.
No.
So.
Have you done any go-kart racing since that enduro?
I've done a few. Just been really busy, and then raced. I tried to redo it. They did, I think, one the week after.
They did a 100-lapper, and then they did a 200-lapper.
My motor blew up after the first 5 laps. So I was just like, can't repeat, so just...
Shut her down. Done.
Nope, and that was just, that was a really cool experience. That was really like, dang, I did something cool in front of a lot of people.
No, it was a big deal. It's a big deal in this area for sure. A lot of folks come from all over Texas to race at that venue. So in your eyes, what do you feel like you enjoy most, the BMX racing or the go-kart stuff?
I saw it in the notes, and I was like, gonna make me choose.
I want to make you choose something else too, so we'll start there.
Okay, well,
which one do you enjoy the most?
I'm gonna say BMX because how long I've done it. Not saying that I dislike or think it's, but I just put BMX on top because.
Do you feel like you're more competitive in the BMX stuff or in the go-kart stuff, or do you feel like you're equally competitive in each one?
See, everything I've done, it's been an individual sport.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, because with karts, there's setups and stuff, and I just feel like BMX is more of me. So I feel like it's more of an accomplishment because I just went out there on a bike and
did your
went
thing.
the fastest. And I'm not saying I don't like go-karting. That's taught me a lot, and it's translated to BMX.
The discipline of it, the discipline of the BMX transfers over to the go-karts, and the discipline of the go-karts transfers over to the BMX stuff.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. How does running the go-kart help you in the BMX side?
Well, how we've been racing, I've had hard competition in both, and the way that if you're out front, someone's behind you unless you got it hooked up, which is about how it is in BMX, and just being able to stay calm, just keeping a rhythm. The races aren't that long in BMX, or 30 seconds to 40 seconds, but go-karting just taught you how to be patient, how to get through, and that's helped with moves, consistency, and just staying smart.
I got you.
Thing.
Where do you plan on taking this BMX journey or this go-kart journey? How does this play out for you as Chayse grows? How does this stuff move forward with you?
Well, with BMX, these next few years are going to be probably the hardest because when I age up in December, my proficiency goes to 1720, which is the premier expert class before everyone in that class mostly turns pro. And
17 to 20 is the age group?
Age group, and then after you turn 20, you turn pro or...
But we're also doing a little something else now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and just I don't think I can make anything out of being a go-kart. I would love to get in a car one day. That's a message.
We're just putting that out there. If anybody has a ride, Chayse is ready to go.
Yeah, I'm out here.
Dad, if you're listening, I think he wants to do this.
Yeah. Little PSA. And, but no, and just, if I can hop into cars, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
It's something that I've always wanted to do since before BMX. Being a big NASCAR fan, and
I did send your dad an ad one time. I had a car for sale. I told him to stop by, and I sent him a picture of the car. He never stopped. He's
just that's more of my mom. My mom's pretty nervous about that stuff.
Oh, I understand.
Couldn't do anything without them. But no, if I can hop in a car and make that something one day, that's a possibility. But I believe in myself if I really want to turn pro, I can. And that's where I want to go
stay with it. You have to stay focused on one or the other to really take them to the next level. But now you're in high school, and we're doing some powerlifting.
Yes, sir.
So how is the powerlifting working with the BMX schedule? How is the powerlifting working with just life in general?
It's taught me a lot. In powerlifting, it's a lot of belief in yourself, because putting 500 pounds on your back isn't no shrug off, at least for me. Yeah. And it's just I've had fun. I made regionals last year, which is the top 13 from the Valley all the way up to San Antonio And
this is at Bishop ISD?
Yes.
Bishop High School. And what grade are you in there?
I'm a sophomore going into being a junior.
Okay. So you're doing that with the school. It's not necessarily anything with the city. It's straight up with the school.
It's with
ISD.
Yes. And then this in July 22nd, I'm doing a meet in McAllen for USA Powerlifting.
Oh, wow.
That's on the national stage, just trying to put my name out there in case I have a...
How do you promote? How does a young man like you promote yourself with having all these facets and having your name out there in so many things, in being the BMX stuff and being the go-kart stuff, and now venturing into the powerlifting? How do people find you? How do people help promote you?
Well, help promote me. I have Instagram, Facebook. I have TikTok. I post some clips of me lifting, some racing, and just some other stuff if I'm not bored. But it's just with that, I post pretty often on Instagram. I have my bike stuff. That's helped me out a lot with I do weekend recaps, and then races. I did a few with stars.
Tell the folks how to find you so they can like and share however you youngsters do some of that social media stuff.
Well, all my socials are Chayse.Mrazek, and pretty easy to find. Hard. Not many people have a
easy to find but hard to spell.
Yeah, very hard to spell, hard to pronounce for most people. But yeah, just if you like what I post, give me a follow, and just want to get somewhere with all this stuff that I work so hard for. So
awesome. Well, tell the listeners, give everybody that has helped you over the years a thanks. Talk about a little bit about the folks that have helped you get there, whether you have sponsors or just folks that really believed in you. This is your opportunity to get the word out there and thank these folks.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank my mom and dad, because they've driven countless miles. My dad just drove a few thousand miles from Texas to Missouri to go race a national this past weekend, and my mom for being my mom. And then I want to thank John Heineman for getting me into go-karts and helping me throughout my BMX journey. Just helped me get to places. Tony Rolando, he's given me tips, helped set the cart up, all that stuff. I want to thank Casey Allen with Premier Racing. That's my BMX team. That's who helped me get all over the place.
Do you have an elbow pad sponsor yet?
No, not yet, but my mom is
working
purchased
on that.
some.
So what y'all may not know is we had a little dilemma, I guess, this past weekend. We left some DNA in another state. So tell the folks a little bit about
I was up in Missouri, and I didn't have a class in 16 cruiser, and they bumped me up to 1720. And winds are pretty hard to come by, and I just sent it. Track was a little wet, but I was feeling it, and lost the front and slammed pretty hard, ripped my elbow apart. I have a quarter-size hole in my elbow now, which leave a permanent scar. So just a little bit of...
It was the full deal. Full send.
Yeah.
Full send.
Took out the whole pack. Just...
Oh, man.
No, probably two people didn't fall, so sorry to them, but I just really wanted to win.
It's part of it. Part of it.
Yep. And then other people, I want to thank Tanner Silvesta. He's coached me up my whole career. Hojo Johnson, who's also helped coach me up. Tim Knight for giving me a ride in 2018. Who else? Charlie Powell for lending me that cart to go win that Enduro, which was biggest win of my life as of right now. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, cool deal, folks. This is a local racer, racing BMX, racing go-karts. Like I said, whether you enjoy BMX or not, you need to understand he's putting in the time, he's putting in the effort, putting in the miles for sure. So if you can help this young man out, like I said, visit any of his social pages, just help get his name out there. Man, we hope to see you around here at some of the go-kart tracks, and maybe a BMX track that's kind of in the works.
In the air.
Tell us a little bit about what may be coming there.
A hopefully top-of-the-line facility in Corpus should be being built by Lee Lewis, which is it's going to be a world-class facility, and hopefully it can be done by the end of the year, and people can experience what I've been trying to chase my whole life, basically. And
I'm assuming that maybe you could do some mentorship for some younger kids that are coming on wanting to do that stuff. Well, Chayse, man, it was great to have you on the Thunder Road podcast. Hopefully we got your message out there to the folks, and people understand where your racing adventures have come from and where they've led you to. So with that being said, thank you very much.
Always.
As the checkered flag flies on this episode of the Thunder Road podcast, I would like to thank Chayse Mrazek for coming on the show. I would also like to thank our following sponsors: Proline Fabrication, S&S Monuments, 112 Bodies, and of course Top Hat Signs and Designs.